Okay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Dawes County Board of Commissioners voting session. Today's Thursday, February 18th, 2021. We appreciate you being with us, and those of you that are online, we also appreciate you joining us as well. We'll start out with a roll call. As you can see, we're all here. I would ask you to please stand for a brief invocation and pledge, if you would. You would bow your heads, please. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this another day and for the many blessings of life. We ask that you give us knowledge and wisdom to carry out the business of this great county. Anything that we accomplish, we'll give you the honor and glory. For it's in Christ's name we do ask and pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Are there any announcements? Are there any announcements?
Chairman, I got one.
Go ahead.
We can have a lengthy discussion on COVID and shots and all that, but I've got a good friend that helped me coach ball and helped raise my kids coaching ball, and he's in severe conditions with COVID. He's a commissioner also in Henry County. But thoughts and prayers for Gary Barham and his family, because he's not doing good.
Okay, let's keep him in our prayers. Any other announcements? All right, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. First up, we have the minutes of the work session held on February 4, 2021. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And those are approved 4-0. Next up, we have the minutes of the voting session held on February 4th, 2021. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion approved.
Motion by Commissioner Satterfield.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And those are approved 4-0. Next up, we have the approval of the agenda. Don't have any changes to the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And the agenda is approved. Next up, we have public comment. We do have two people signed up for public comment, Sheriff Johnson and Mr. Joey Holmes. Who's going to go first? Go together. All right, you're going to go together. Okay, come on.
We had sent over a PowerPoint that hopefully, there it is, comes up on the screen. Thank you. And the sheriff's going to help me with making sure we operate that correctly. We are here to comment on the agenda item, consideration of request for additional staffing for the sheriff's office. That's on new business, given your zoning. We may ask that y'all move that ahead of the zoning matters after we conclude. But we will try to present this information and respond to the request from the commission 2 weeks ago to present data and facts to the board regarding this request. The focus that the sheriff and I took from the comments at the meeting 2 weeks ago was the per capita cost for the sheriff's office. That per capita cost for our citizens in Dawson County was given as $355.33 if we use the general fund without grants, with grants, which obviously isn't tax money, but that number, if it's included, was $371.33. And that was compared to what surrounding counties pay per capita for sheriff's office. We submit that without placing that number in context, that pro rata cost solely for the sheriff's office, that it just lacks meaning. It's meaningless. You have to look at the entire general fund budget for Dawson County and compare that, if that's the comparison we're going to do. And we've done that, and you'll see it. We submit, though, on behalf of the sheriff's office, that really the focus needs to be on the duties that are imposed on the sheriff's office, being the sole law enforcement agency in this county, and the percentage of the general fund budget that's provided for law enforcement in Dawson County and in our surrounding counties. So if we're going to do the comparison using the data and information available, then let's do that. And if you do that, then you will find as we go through this, that if we do the general fund budget, then the per capita cost in Dawson County is $1,290.31. $1,291.31. Now, this number is going to affect all of your county funded departments. The only example, we're not singling out, but just as an example, emergency services, and comparing that to Lumpkin County, some of the budgets, when we went through, it's hard to pull out the EMA portion of those budgets. But if we do emergency services, then the budget for Dawson County is $5,548,793. And if we do a per capita cost on that, it's $232.55. So if we want to compare that to a neighbor, Lumpkin County, their total budget for that is $3,689,477. Per capita, $115.47. Again, we're not targeting anybody. We're just telling you, because of our budget, you can go to any county funded department and pull a per capita number, and Dawson County's is going to be higher, but that's based upon our budget. The data and the facts that we've gathered in the last 2 weeks indicate that there are significant needs within the sheriff's office for more officers. This presentation I've tried to put together in a way that would summarize, and we'll go to the first page for me, Sheriff. This page encapsulates some of the numbers that I've just gone through with. You'll see budget, GF stands for general fund. I put the grant amount, but I want you to look at that total county general fund budget for our population of 23,861, which appears to be fairly accurate. And the percentage of our general fund budget that's utilized by the sheriff's office without the grants is 27.5%. And then I again give you that per capita number for the total budget. So let's go to our neighbors. Let's go to Forsyth County. Forsyth County there, their budget for sheriff's office is the $52 million number in that first column. Their population is 219,880. So that per capita for their sheriff's office is $236.85. However, their percentage of their general fund budget, which is shown in the bottom left-hand corner there, total GF County budget of $151,830,782, it shows that that's 34% is assigned to the sheriff's office, 34% of their general fund. A key factor you're going to see in these slides that I'm going to provide to you is that cities providing law enforcement services, which is all of our neighbors, cities providing law enforcement services greatly assist in the funding of the sheriff's office and the function that our sheriff's office performs. And you'll see the city of Cumming has a budget there of $2.7 million and some change. If we add those together, because the county gets the benefit of that law enforcement service, even though the county is not coming out of the county's budget. But if we take that a percentage of their budget, it's 36% of the county budget is going toward law enforcement. Also, I want you to look at that per capita number, because that was deemed to be a key when we had this discussion 2 weeks ago. It's $690.52 compared to Dawson County's $1,290.31. Not criticizing that, that's just data and facts. If we go to the next slide, the Hall County sheriff law enforcement. You'll see that, again, bottom left-hand corner, their total budget is just under $100 million. And I'll just point out here, this is great for Dawson County, that we're 11.5% of the population of Hall County, but our budget is 30% of Hall County. It shows we're doing very well. But if we look at the analysis as it relates to the sheriff's office, then that per capita number of 207.04 for sheriff's office, that is also 43% of their budget is assigned and allocated to the sheriff's office. Look at all the cities that provide law enforcement services within Hall County: Brazelton, Flowery Branch, Gainesville, Oakwood. And if you combine all of those funds that are paid for law enforcement in Hall County, that total amount is $58,457,307. That per capita is still at $283.29, but it's 58% of that total county budget. Gainesville kind of skews these numbers high because of what Gainesville is, and you'll see that they budget over $10 million for law enforcement. Look at that per capita number, though, on their total general fund budget in Hall County is $484.52 as compared to ours of $1,290.31. Next, we have Lumpkin County. Lumpkin County's population now is 31,951 compared to ours just under 24,000. But their total general fund budget in the bottom left-hand corner is $22,811,720 as compared to our $30,788,031. I want you to see there as well that their city, Dahlonega, jumps in, and now their marshals are certified law enforcement officers, and under their budget, they can enforce state law. And in fact, they've increased that budget at the city level to provide for additional marshals on the weekend because of all the special events that they have. And I want you to see in this slide, UNG, University of North Georgia, have 13 patrol officers, 26 officers. 13 of those are communication officers, but 13 are patrol officers. In trying to reach into the university system budget to give y'all a number, I just wasn't comfortable with any number we could get. But a conservative estimate of 13 officers that would provide law enforcement function is roughly $1 million. I don't have it in there, and I want y'all to understand I didn't put it in there because I don't have a number. I can't pull it out like I can in the city and the county. But when we combine the sheriff's office and the city of Dahlonega law enforcement, it's almost $7 million is budgeted for law enforcement, and the total county budget is 22 million, just under 23 million. So that's 30% of what their whole overall general fund budget is. So their per capita is at $713.96. The other agency or the other county that was brought up a couple weeks ago was Pickens County. They've got Jasper that helps them with law enforcement, that their city funds that law enforcement. And again, I've run the numbers there for you. You can see their population is just under 31,000 and their budget is less than ours. Their budget is just over 29 million. But their per capita number on their general fund budget is a shade over 940, but still substantially less than what ours is per capita. All I'm trying to point out to you is that per capita number taken in isolation doesn't tell us a whole lot. But it does show that the percentage of the general fund budget assigned and that goes toward law enforcement is again over 30%. We go to Union County. Union County has a population very similar to us. Their total budget is under 22 million, but they budget over 6 million for their sheriff's office. They have the city of Blairsville that provides law enforcement services. That's just over 900,000. And their percentages come out, again, 28% straight to the sheriff's office and 32% for law enforcement. And their per capita is again under $1,000. We go to White County. White County, again, is near 30,000, and the same sort of numbers bear out. They've got Cleveland and Helen that have law enforcement functions. And if you run those numbers, you're again going to see that what's budgeted to the sheriff's office is 25%, but we add in these other law enforcement agencies that we don't have here, then that total goes to 35%. And their per capita on their total budget is again substantially less than ours. So the last slide that you see here, I've tried to combine these in one slide so that you can see. And what I'm going to do on this last slide is that you'll see the next to the last column on the right side where it says %-DC rate. Those percentages are the per capita numbers that we've just gone through that shows you the per capita ranges from 38% in Hall County up to 74% in Union County. So if we adjust that, in other words, if we just do the math on that percentage compared to what they pay for law enforcement, and we adjust that, you will see that now that $355.33, which appeared to be significant, is not significant because the numbers go to $461.48. Hall County again is skewed because of Gainesville, but it shows it at $745.50 per capita. Lumpkin County is showing at $355.18, but that does not include those 13 officers that are at the University of North Georgia that provide law enforcement in that county. And so if that is kicked up, you'll see that the number for all of these exceeds $400 per capita. The point of all that is to tell y'all that using a per capita on just the sheriff's office is not a number that I submit provides meaning on whether the sheriff's office needs more officers to perform the services assigned by law and to provide law enforcement to our people in the county. If we have other law enforcement agencies, if we can engage the city to assist us with that, I encourage us to do that. This data reveals that the sheriff's office needs more funding to perform the functions that they're assigned by law to perform. We don't want to be adversaries with the commission. We want to work together with the commission. No third party is going to come in here and resolve this for us. It reminds me of I love the movie Fargo when the guy says, we got to resolve this right here in Brainerd. We've got to resolve this right here. We need to, first, we need to acknowledge the need for these officers to perform these functions. This data shows that the sheriff's office needs additional funding. We've got to acknowledge that. We've got to then plan, how can we do that? The sheriff's not standing here saying, y'all got to cut a check or authorize additional funds now. We've got to start the process to make this move forward and to say, we've got to have these officers. There's an acknowledged need. We've got to engage the city. We've been trying to encourage the city to help us with this. The sheriff is working with the city to encourage the city to help engage in this process so that the people of this county are well protected. He's got a duty to do that. You've got a duty to do that. We want to work together, and the data and the facts that we were asked to present, we submit has been presented. There's more out there. We've had 2 weeks and digging through a lot of budgets, but this information shows the need is there. The specific statistics that the sheriff has available confirms that the need is there. And we'd ask y'all to help us move forward with this process to adequately fund the sheriff's office. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Rick, anything else?
Yes, we've got one more PowerPoint. Board, I won't belabor this. This is a repetition of what was presented last week, or the week before, although I wasn't able to be here personally. Mr. Holman's provided you with the numbers to let you know that truly there's a need for us, but I want to hit home in the actual crime, what's going on in Dawson County. Obviously, the growth is here. We know that it's here. These are just a few snapshots of what's been going on in our county, especially since our staffing study was done in 2015. And anywhere there's a increase in people, there's going to be crime. There's going to be crime. There's going to be domestics. There's going to be unfortunately drugs, there's going to be inter auto, there's going to be property crimes, things of that nature. So again, as we recap from last time, since 2017, we've actually, when I consider a first responder, I consider someone that's actually getting out, answering calls, things of that nature. But this is what's been approved since 2017. Two of the heat units are grant funded. And again, we are alone in Dawson County, as I hope we've made that clear to all of this, that it's us. The GSP does assist us, DNR does assist, but basically it is us. Staffing study, just to recap, done nearly 6 years ago, recommended 139 positions. We're still short 19 positions. We have 120 positions. Your position control is wrong. But we have 120 positions in Dawson County Sheriff's Office. Again, what we based on, there was 10,607 calls for service. Now there's recent sampling was 15,641. We've experienced over 48% increase. Staffing study, to give you some more details, in 19, GSP works a large majority of our accidents. In 19, deputies worked 175. In 20 alone, they worked 242. That's a 38% increase in just 1 year's time. That's not from the 15 study information. Domestic violence cases have increased 21%. Now, these are time consuming. Every time, the more bodies we put in Dawson County, the more homes we approve, the more people come here, the more apt and more likely we are going to see this number increase. In our CID, there was 488 cases assigned in 2020, 23% increase over 2019 alone. That's significant. DUI alone, I shared this with you last time. There was 21 DUI arrests in January alone. Much in thanks to our heat unit that we have out there now, but we're already seeing a huge increase in our DUI enforcement in Dawson County. It's not a good stat to have. So we look at where we're at now. We talked about Crown Point, Creekstone, Silverleaf, Sweetwater Preserve. These are all things that have come in just the past few years. That one there, you can see it's kind of hard to read here. One thing, I'm going to back up here. This is one thing that come out in our discussion from last time. Since 2017, the budgets have increased. It was pointed out that the sheriff's office has increased 30%, but I want you to look, and I went back from 17 all the way to 2021. And if you look, BOC, county government, general government, they increased an average of 29.40%. The sheriff's office and associated, 42.32%. Fire EMS, EMA 86.17, Public Works, Planning and Zoning 46.82. So this is just not a sheriff's office increase. We've increased across the board in Dawson County. I come to the today in last week to let you know we need help. I know y'all are looking for numbers. I know you're looking for statistics and data, but this is what we need help for. The more our officers are tied up responding to calls, the more they're unable to be proactive. We place a huge emphasis on being proactive, but you can see some of the things that's coming through Dawson County. We need your help, board, to be able to continue to fight this war, to provide the services that we need for Dawson County. But that's all I have.
Any questions from the board?
I got one question, I guess. We went through budget hearings and we had meetings, and I'd like to see these presentations when we had the budget. When we set the numbers, we've set the numbers and the numbers are tight, and that come to us after the budget was approved. And we didn't see these.
This is something that I've been presenting for some time. After the budget hearing, again, I approached the chairman. We had discussions about positions, open positions. You and I have had discussions about open positions. And as a result of those conversations, it was presented to the board and you're full. So here we are.
And how many positions are you asking for? I think we asked that before, and I don't remember what was said. I know there's the 19 difference in the studies,
Right.
but
And Ms. Sharon, I'm open. It's just like Mr. Holman said. If we can put together a game plan, I don't like this adversarial climate that we're in, but it seems like
I'm not
every
being
time-
adversarial.
No,
I'm
and
just
I'm not
trying
claiming
to
you are.
ask how many you want, because, and you said before, in 19 is impossible.
Right.
And you even said it was ridiculous. There was some word you said. So I'm just trying to get to what you think would be fair.
I think if we can get a plan put in place to where we know going forward that we can put bodies on. If we had 2 more patrol officers on a watch, it would make a huge difference.
Just 2.
2 on a watch,
Well, I don't know. Well,
Eight.
tell me what that means, because
4
I
watches.
do what?
4 watches, right. 8
Okay,
people.
okay, all right.
That would be a great start.
Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to alcohol license. Alcohol license transfer, retail package selling beer, wine, and distilled spirit. Hoka Liquor, doing business as 400 packs. James.
Thank you, Chairman. As you said, Gopika, I believe that's how I'm going to say it. Liquor doing business as 400 package will be taking over the business located at 45 Heath Road, located off of 400 North, just south of the Dawson-Lumpkin County line, due to the sale of the business. So the sale of the business changed hands, the alcohol license has to change hands with it. This business has been open since 2018. There's been no issues with the business as far as the marshals or the alcohol license is concerned. And there's no issues here with the application and its completion and the background check or the report that goes along with it. I believe Mr. Patel is here. It's a packaged beer, wine, and liquor sale application. And I'll entertain any questions.
Questions for Jameson? Thank you, sir. Pleasure of the board.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Satterfield, seconded by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. We move on to zoning. Let me go over the zoning rules that we will use tonight in reference to zoning. First up, the planning director will present the application and recommendation of the planning commission. Then we'll hear from the applicant. We'll open the hearing. We'll hear from those who are in favor of the application. Then we'll hear from those who are opposed to the application. Each person wishing to speak will be allotted 3 minutes per our zoning guidelines. Anyone who speaks will need to sign in and give us your name and address. Also, if anyone has donated $250 or more to any candidate, you will need to fill out a form stating so. So first up, we have ZA 20-21, George Butler as agent for owner's request to rezone tax map parcel 097-099 from RA residential agriculture to RS2 residential suburban 2 for the purpose of developing a 194 residential lot subdivision. This is on Dawson Forest Road East. This was tabled from the January 21st, 2021 voting session, at which time a public hearing was already held. So there will not be a public hearing on this one. That's already been done. Is Jameson. Anything to add new?
Thank you, Chairman. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to let Mr. Butler present the presentations as they were amended and as all the changes, and we can move forward with that.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I need to make my same announcement that I did January 21st, that I will recuse myself from any discussion. I'll abstain from vote. I have a small personal interest in this property through inheritance. So, and I said I'm out before, and we
Thank
said
you.
that was Shark Tank. But anyway.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Chairman Thurman, members of the commission, I pursuant to the recommendation made at the hearing by distinguished county attorney, we've numbered all items. I've been informed that paragraph 11 that reads, begins the location of any proposed internal sidewalk trail system, that paragraph should be omitted. And so I'm going to then renumber and read with that paragraph 11 omitted unless I'm instructed differently. Okay, item 1, a primary conservation area, 33.4 acres more or less, shall be located as shown on the submitted site plan on both sides of Blacksmill Creek, while a secondary conservation area, 17.3 acres more or less, shall consist of the forested promontory in the northwest corner of the property as shown on the submitted site plan. 2, the primary and secondary conservation areas shall either be preserved and protected in perpetuity by either a permanent conservation easement in favor of Dawson County or a dedication to Dawson County, whichever the county may prefer in its sole discretion. And in either case, the two areas will be subject to restrictive covenants and conditions limiting future activities within the respective areas designed to protect the interests of the neighboring landowners and the future landowners within the proposed residential development on the remaining 61.2 acres of the property, so that, for example, any permissible activities within 200 feet of the property boundary would be kept to a minimum. And the two sets of restrictions on the separate conservation areas would be different in that, for example, the portion of the primary conservation area on the south side of Blacksmill Creek shall be for viewshed and stream buffer purposes only and shall be left in its natural state. And in that, the developer may disturb the portion of the primary conservation area on the north side of Blacksmill Creek, but only for the limited purpose of installing sewer lines and or water lines in a lift station that do not reduce the total conservation area beneath the required 40%, provided that to the extent practicable, open space as shown on the site plan shall be converted to conservation area as necessary to maintain the latter at its current 44.76% of total land area. 3, both conservation areas would be passive parks as per the terms of the final restrictive covenants and conditions, with no hunting or trapping, no fixed recreational structures or equipment, no use of motorized equipment or audible sound producing or amplifying devices, no use of vehicles, including bicycles. The allowable hours of occupancy would be posted and no alcohol would be allowed. 4, a 50-foot undisturbed buffer must be provided around the entire site, except for perpendicular road crossings and utility crossings as shown on the site plan, provided that the buffer along Dawson Forest Road and along the common boundary with Blacksmill Elementary School may be disturbed so long as it is attractively re-landscaped and planted and or fenced to buffer standards. And hence, in any location where the existing buffer is disturbed or where the existing buffer vegetation or topography would not provide an opaque screen from adjacent properties or from the public road frontage, which in this case would be Dawson Forest Road, the buffer shall be planted with vegetation and or enhanced by a fence to provide an opaque visual screen. While the site plan illustrates that an attractive opaque 6-foot fence could be erected along the interior edge of the undisturbed buffer to serve that purpose, the actual decision to use vegetation and or a fence where necessary to achieve the required opaque screen will be dictated by the different circumstances that exist along the roughly 12,750 linear feet or 2.4 miles of buffer. Provided further that a 6-foot opaque board fence shall be erected approximately 25 feet inside and along the common boundary between the subject property and Dawson County tax parcel number 097148 on the north side of Blacksmill Creek along the entire northern boundary of the tax parcel, and proceeding down the east side a distance of at least 300 feet to the edge of the primary conservation area, and in addition, 2 staggered rows of green giant arborvitae shall be planted 12 feet on center on the outside of the fence. 5, construction time shall be limited to 7 a.m., 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday. There will be no construction on Sundays. 6, all lighting throughout the neighborhood shall be low bleed LED downlighting so that the lighting does not bleed over the property line. 7, prior to any house sales, the developer shall install the traffic improvements on Dawson Forest Road that are indicated as being required in the professional traffic study of the project, by Mark R. Acamporo, Physical Professional Engineer LLC, dated October 5, 2020, a copy of which is being submitted herewith with final plans and specifications to be worked out between the developer's engineer of record and the county's responsible officials. 8, there shall be no rentals in the subdivision unless approved by the homeowners association, and the homeowners association shall contain from the beginning of house sales and occupancy board members who are residents of the subdivision. 9, stormwater management and soil erosion controls and regulations shall be strictly adhered to, given the presence of slopes in Black Mill Creek and its tributaries. 10, the developer shall coordinate with the Board of Education in providing access through the subdivision, including a pedestrian crossing of any subdivision road, which will allow regular supervised access to the primary conservation area on the property during the hours prescribed by these conditions. Sidewalks, 11, sidewalks shall be a minimum of 5 feet in width. 12, building and site design shall be consistent with the development plan as approved through this zoning process. There shall be a minimum of 1,600 square feet of heated space for each one-story home and 1,800 square feet of heated space for every two-story dwelling. 13, carriage-style garage doors with decorative hardware or other embellishments shall be used in all homes, and each home shall have not less than a 2-car garage. 14, the roofing materials used on the home shall be cedar shake, 3-tab, or architectural/dimensional style asphalt shingles or metal as appropriate to the architectural style of each home as determined by the it says as determined by the building. 15, all overhangs, including gables and side gables, will have a minimum of a 12-inch overhang on all sides. 16, the developer shall use a variety of techniques to avoid the monotonous appearance of identical homes. Such techniques may employ, among others, the use of differing front elevations, architectural styles, building exteriors, and other similar techniques so that no house is the same as any house directly in front or on either adjacent side of it. 17, all roofs and gables shall be a pitch of no less than 812. This condition shall not apply to dormers, porches, bay windows, and third-floor retreats. 18, poured concrete retaining walls visible from the right-of-way must be painted or faced with stone or brick. No wooden retaining walls shall be permitted. 19, the exterior materials for all homes shall consist of brick, stone, cement-based lap siding, cement-based siding panels, cedar and/or shake. 20, all roof pipes, all roof vents, pipes, and other roof equipment except chimneys shall be located on the rear elevations and shall be painted to match the color of the roof. 21, no above-ground swimming pools shall be permitted. 22, no window air conditioning units may be installed. 23, there shall be no more than 194 residential units within the development. 24, the lot layout and overall site design shall be generally consistent with the site plan, except for changes approved by the planning director and needed to preserve lot yield that are necessitated by actual site conditions, including but not limited to rock and wetland, or by required traffic improvements. 25, and last, driveway shall extend back at least 25 feet from the back of the sidewalk to the garage door.
Thank you. Does the board have any other questions? Reference to. Who for?
One question. And I think you might have went over the undisturbed buffer. I know we had one couple that was here that was concerned about their back of their house.
Yes, sir.
Was that 600 and something feet? Because
That was, and they're on the south side of Black Mill Creek, and we've said that whole area, which in
Undisturbed.
itself is 300, is going to be just for view shed, so it'll be undisturbed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other questions? As I stated before, this hearing's already been held. We had the hearing back on January 24th, which at that time the board tabled this for some other information. You now have that information. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve with the stipulations as read on record.
Okay. Motion to approve
ZA
by
20-21.
Commissioner Satterfield. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3-0. Move on to ZA 20-24, Mincy Land Management request to rezone tax map parcel 113-017 from RA Residential Agriculture to CHB Commercial Highway Business for the purpose of constructing an indoor gun range. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. We'll start out with the planning director, and then we'll call you.
I'll turn it over to you.
All right. James.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. So ZA 20-24 is located directly west of Dawsonville Gun and Pond. The applicant is looking to rezone the 3.43 acres located at 5711 Highway 53 East with the intention of developing a 7,000 square foot, 10 stall indoor gun range. This CHP classification would be in compliance with our comprehensive plan and our future land use plan. Property is currently vacant. And this came before Planning Commission on January 19th with a unanimous recommendation of approval with no stipulations or opposition. I'll entertain any questions.
Questions for Jameson?
I just want to say for the record, I'm abstaining myself from this vote. I don't have any financial interest in the project, but Paul's a client of mine and other business ventures that he has.
Thank you. Any other questions for James?
The entrance is gonna be the same entrance as there now.
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
they
So
they
no
intend on
new-
using the same entrance for the Dawsonville Gun and Pond for this.
Right, okay.
Just a second.
Oh, no, was asked about the entrance to your property.
Interest.
I
Interest,
thought you said insurance.
not interest.
Yeah.
Insurance interest.
The
Yeah.
driveway.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm from those.
Mhm. All right, so any other questions for Jameson?
Does
Thank you,
fit our
Jameson.
future land map.
It does. It is in compliance with our future land use plan.
Okay, thank you. All right, you're the applicant. Come on up now. Tell us what you'd like to do.
Well, I started this out right, didn't I? Sorry, this is my first rodeo.
That's
all right.
okay. That's okay.
I'm Paul, owner of Dawsonville Gun. One of the owners of Mincy Land Management, which will be the actual owner where Dawsonville Range will actually pay Mincy Land rent. This is Heath Shaw with Invertus Gun Ranges. They build gun ranges all over the world. They're going to be building the range. We are for the interior of the range. And any questions you have concerning that, he's here to answer it. Been open many years, contributed to the society. But God knows how much tax money I've saved, y'all. And yes, as far as the entrance, yeah, it'll be one entrance. And you know, there's a lot of potential for education for the public and it possibly police training there as well. It would be convenient for the county. So
Questions of the applicant?
Is this a new building or a conversion of a new? Where is there something similar to this close to us, or is there anything?
Yes, ma'am. So we've built ranges everywhere from Stoddard's Range in Atlanta, Bullseye in Lawrenceville. Even back 30, 40 years ago, we did several in Atlanta, all the way on the south side of Atlanta, Georgia Range and Guns. All those are still operating successful businesses without incidents in any of those. We design them that they're ballistically intact as far as for your overhead ballistics, as well as sidewalls, bullet trap. They'll be able to fire rifles in there. And with acoustic treatments such as using PEP, which is a high absorbent material, making sure that the outside, a garage maintenance company that similar to Tower Automotive, put their door up, it'll be louder at Tower than it will be standing in the parking lot looking at the range with the way that we design and field our equipment. We built over 13,000 ranges across the world.
Other questions of the applicant?
Don't have one in Forsyth County, do you?
No,
do you?
not yet, not yet. But the sheriff's office is our customer, so we're building their outdoor range.
Oh, okay.
then Hall County is our other customer for their outdoor range.
Okay.
Any other questions of the applicant? Thank you. We may have some more later. This time I'll open up this hearing on ZA 20-24. Is anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Hearing none, I'll close that hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett to approve,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3-0 with one abstention. Next up, we have ZA 20-25 Fall Leaf Residential Request to rezone tax map parcel 085-016 from RSR Residential Sub-Rural to RS3 Residential Suburban 3 for the purpose of developing a 141 residential lot subdivision, Highway 9 South. Jameson.
Thank you, Chairman. This 65-acre parcel located on Highway 9 South is situated just south of Apple Ridge 2 and is kind of sandwiched between the Dawson Forest Management Area and Highway 9. Fall Leaf is looking to rezone this parcel from RSR to RS3 with the intention of developing a 141 lot conservation area neighborhood. RS3 is not currently in our comprehensive plan. It was intended to be close to 400 and down Dawson Forest as a feathering mechanism from 400 out into the rural Dawson County. As it stands now, this property is RSR and is in compliance with our comprehensive plan and our future land use map. The surrounding properties have a general character area of single-family residences, just like this neighborhood would present, only that there are really more large acre lots averaging around 4 acres per residence. The applicant is proposing a conservation subdivision. Basically, the zoning requirements would restrict this neighborhood to be third acre lots, 0.33 of an acre. With the conservation, they're allowed to maximize the number of lots specified under that current zoning, but they're also going to be required to have primary and secondary delineated areas of open space. These open spaces would be intended for passive trails and stormwater flows to reduce the need for retention ponds. Other requirements of a conservation neighborhood would include a 60-foot lot width and 100-foot depth, a 5-acre landscape strip between the back of curb and the sidewalk for 3-inch diameter street trees. That is for traffic purposes of slowing traffic down, and a 50-foot undisturbed buffer all the way around this property to help the neighbors and buffer the density from the surrounding neighbors. The Planning Commission heard this on January 19th and recommended denial 3-0 based on the proximity to 400 and the general character of the area. I will entertain any questions at this time.
You said this was in the land use plan is RSR?
It is.
Okay. Other questions of Jameson?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is the applicant present? Come up and tell us what you'd like to do.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Neil Hindy, and I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Fall Leaf Residential. This property is a 65-acre tract of land fronting on the west side of Georgia Highway 9, approximately 2.8 miles north of the Dawson Forest Road and Georgia Highway 9 intersection. We had originally submitted a standard RS3 plan. However, after talking with several adjacent homeowners, we believe most of them would prefer to see the property developed under a conservation plan so that more of the property could be preserved as open space. We are requesting rezoning to the RS3 zoning classification to allow the development of a conservation subdivision. The revised conservation site plan we have submitted shows 141 lots with a density of 2.16 homes per acre on the 65-acre tract. 40% of the property, over 26 acres, will be preserved as open space. The open space will provide an opportunity to retain much of the property in its natural vegetative state and also provide an opportunity for many passive recreation activities such as walking trails and a community picnic area. There will be a 50-foot open space buffer along Highway 9, which will be heavily landscaped to provide a very attractive entrance to the community. The homeowners association will be responsible for the future maintenance and upkeep of all entrance features, open spaces, and any amenities. Regarding the concerns that have been raised by the community regarding density, our plan shows 2.16 units per acre, which we feel is appropriate for this location and is lower than many of the developments in the area, such as Thunder Ridge, 1 mile to the north in the city of Dawsonville, as well as the new development underway on Dawson Forest Road, 2 miles to the south. Regarding the traffic issues that have been raised, our plan shows 2 separate entrances into the community, one of which we anticipate will be a right in, right out, and the other is anticipated to be a full entrance with a dedicated left turn lane. However, as you may know, due to the fact that Highway 9 is a state road, all traffic improvements will be subject to Georgia DOT approval. The Dawson County Comprehensive Plan points out that the new housing market in Dawson County provides few opportunities beyond single-family homes on large lots. And we feel that this project is ideally suited for an RS3 development, which will address this critical need in the county. The new RS3 zoning category was established in December of 2019 to allow the opportunity to provide smaller lots to fulfill this established need. There are actually very few sites in the county that lend themselves to development under the RS3 category, and we believe that this site is one of the very few due to the fact that it has access to sewer, water, and frontage on Georgia Highway 9, one of the county's major arteries. Finally, this property is owned by Mr. Jimmy Holbrook and Mr. Tim Bird, who have owned it and paid property taxes on it for 25 years. Mr. Bird passed away a little over a year ago, and his family and Mr. Holbrook simply want a reasonable zoning on the property so they can sell it. We think this will be a very nice subdivision with a reasonable zoning, which will provide much needed housing for the area. And we respectfully request the board to approve our application. In closing, I would like to add that if the community and or the board still has significant concerns over our application, we would like to have the opportunity to defer our application to give our land planner and team a chance to modify the plan in a way that would hopefully alleviate your concerns. Thank you very much for your time today, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions of the applicant? Think we may have some later.
Okay.
This time I'll open up this hearing. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? All right, one at a time. You come on up, or you go ahead and go first. Please sign in, give us your name and your address.
My name is Donald Brown, 241 Apple Ridge 2. My property abuts that under consideration today.
You have 3 minutes. When
Thank
get
you.
through signing up.
Thank you for the time. I'm not here to say don't build houses on this property, but I am here to say let's don't build 141 houses on this property. Let's follow the county guidelines. I had asked the original representative of Fall Creek what effect this will have on the water table of the area, wells of nearby homes, and what will happen to the live stream, and what is the effect on the recharge of groundwater. There was no acceptable answer. However, there was a change in the recent plat to show the live stream in a non-developed area. The addition of this number of homes to those subdivisions already completed or underway on Highway 9 is an unacceptable increase in traffic on that roadway. For those that live on or near or use Highway 9, you know it is a standard 24-foot wide without any sides, with blind curves, a lot of entries from homes and other additions. You must look that Sweetwater Preserve has 102 homes. It empties onto Perimeter and also empties onto Highway 9, designed to empty northbound on Highway 9. However, I have observed that violated on many occasions. The Thunder Ridge subdivision has 217 home sites. When you add that together, we're looking at 309 homes within a mile of each other. So if you add another 141, we're looking at almost 450 home sites in a very short span of time. Consider that each home will have 1 to 2 vehicles, as is the norm today. You're looking at an increase of 450 to 900 vehicles on Highway 9 South, a highway that is not made to handle that traffic flow. The morning and afternoon traffic is already impeded by the necessary ingress and egress from the Dawson County Schools and the construction on Dawson Forest. The LLC representative did say this addition will have water and sewer from county source, something that was not afforded the homeowners on Apple Ridge 2. I asked that the planning commission, that the county commission deny this variance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else to speak in opposition? Come on up, ma'am. Give us your name and your address and please sign in. And then once you get to that point, you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Brenda J. Johnston, and I live at 105 Apple Ridge 2. And I'm speaking against the rezoning. This is my house in yellow. Now, he's saying that there's going to be 2.61 houses per acre. How does he get 7 houses across 545 feet if it's 2.61 houses per acre? The area right here is what's being, the houses will be, that's over 6 houses per acre. That's like putting 18 more houses on my 3.27 acres. It's just, it can't happen. My house is close to my property line, closer than it should be. I didn't build the house. It's like 50 feet from my property line. So 50 feet from that, they want to put a 35-foot, 7 houses, which will completely obscure my view of the mountains that I see right now. Sorry, I get very nervous. There's hardly any vegetation between me and what the houses will be. Sure, you can plant 50 feet of shrubbery, but it takes years for that to grow. Even Leland cypress takes 3 years for it to get any size. So there'll be no effective buffer along my property line. Did you guys view the video of the presentation that I made at the Planning Commission? I don't know if you did or not. but-
I didn't. I got your letter. I read your
Okay,
letter.
well, this is what I like to visualize things.
Mhm.
This is what I see now out of my windows. If you put 7 houses across my property line, that's what I'm going to see. So you're going to put me in the 100 feet, well, 50 feet from 141 house subdivision. I didn't move to Dawson County to be in 141 house subdivision. I moved here to be in a rural area to start a small farm, which I've done. I have ducks, chickens, a couple goats, and a llama. There's going to be a nightmare of people coming to my property line to look at my animals, to throw feed at my animals. And you know how kids are when they see animals, they want to see them move. So they'll throw things at them, but they'll try to throw feed over the fence, which will make them sick. I feed my animals. Other people don't need to feed my animals. They don't know what to feed my animals. I worked for 35 years.
Thank you, ma'am. Your time is up.
All right.
Thank you.
Please don't approve.
Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Come on up, ma'am. Give us your name and your address. Please sign in for me, and then you will have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Renee Livingstone. I live at 2493 Highway 9 South, which is about directly across from the lower entrance that they have planned for this subdivision. Right next door, it is not next to that entrance is where they're also planning the stormwater drainage area, which will be directly across the street from my mailbox. I don't like getting eaten up by mosquitoes trying to check my mail. When we moved up here, we purchased 7 acres. Put our house 1,000 feet off the road, so we didn't have to deal with traffic. In the wintertime in Dawson County, I can see 3 houses. We moved up here out of Gwinnett County. We didn't want to raise our children in that type of subdivision that cookie cutter one after the other. I understand this gentleman owns his property and he has a right to sell it. But if you look at all the surrounding lots from this area, there's a 1 acre, there are 2 1.5 acre lots, and then it goes to 3, 4, 5, 7, 9 acre lots. These are estate size lots. That's why we moved up here, is to have property, to have quiet, to have peace. And this subdivision would put 140 plus houses directly across the street from my driveway. Turning in, turning out. My husband has a business. He pulls in with a dump truck and a 16, 17 foot trailer. People, there's a blind curve at the top of the hill, blind curve at the bottom of the hill. People come busting around through there and he's trying to turn into our driveway. It's not going to be safe for anybody. This is a standard size road. This road is not intended to handle this much extra traffic. They want to build this big of a subdivision, send them out towards 400 where they have the infrastructure set up and ready for this. Our part of Dawson County is not set up for this. And I'm not even going to get into bringing in how many more kids into the school system. Has the school system been checked? Currently, we have almost 1,000 houses either in the land prep or ready to build set up between the city and the county. We're looking at over 1,000 kids right then and there for our school system that's got less than 4,000 kids in it. So I know Dawson County is growing. There's no way to hold that back. Forsyth is coming straight up 400 to us. But I think we need to think about our future of our land development. Do we want subdivisions this big, this far off of 400? Do our schools set up to hold this many more kids? Is Etowah Water prepared to supply water for this many more houses? This is so many things that's the reason we have a land use map to prepare for things like this.
Thank you, ma'am. Your time's up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please don't approve.
Anyone else here speak in opposition to this application? Come on up, ma'am. Give us your name and your address. Please sign in, and then you will have 3 minutes.
Could I answer her? Or would I be out of order? That lady.
For
Yeah, yeah. But you asked, had the school been asked? And we get all this information at the engineering department, environmental health department, emergency services, Etowah Water. And so the answer to your question is yes. And Dawson County Sheriff's Office and Board of Education and whoever prepared this sent us a list. So the answer to your question is yes. All these people are asking. We never do say anything about that. It's loaded in our computer, but because that is a
it's
consideration.
part of the application.
Yeah, it's part of the application.
Huh.
No, right.
Okay.
Okay, hi, I'm India Hawkins. I live at 2411 Highway 9 South. I live in between the two entrances. I'm right on the curve and the hill that it goes down and around. And in the morning time, it is just a nightmare trying to get out of there. People want to run me over. I have to run out of there before, somebody does run me over.
Same side of the road is this? Or you
Um,
across this road?
I'm right across from
Okay.
them, right in the dead middle of the bottom one and the top one.
Okay.
Okay, and it's a safety hazard to me. Also, I have eight and a half acres. I'm thinking, all these homes, putting them on 1 acre is like putting 18 homes on my little 8.5 acres plus my house. I'm like, I see a beautiful sunset every night and it's gorgeous. Will I still be able to see that beautiful sunset? I don't know. I've got a horse trailer that's 25 feet long. Am I going to be able to pull back out of the left so I'm not over in their 50 feet off the highway? And I just think that it would be a downgrade in a way to not UPS, I'm sorry, to Dawsonville to build little homes like that. It's like Perimeter and Highway 9. I mean, look at those little homes and it just looks terrible right through there when you drive through there. I'm worried when it's going to just bring Dawsonville down. Let's bring Dawsonville up. And if it's going to have to be built something, let's do 3 to 5 acres. Make it more, like Canton, where there's just beautiful homes and, lots of property and we all can live together and be happy and harmony, that's what I'm feeling anyway. So hope that was my 3 minutes. Well, I didn't hear the bell, but anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Come on up. Give us your name, your address, please sign in for us, and then you will have 3 minutes.
My name is Larry Grant. I live at 2345 Highway 9 South, Dawsonville. I'm not going to go back and repeat everything. I agree with everybody else who is against this moving into putting this many houses in that small spot of land. But I'm also not a person who says you can't do something on your land, that person's land. My main concern is with the roads here in Dawson County. We cannot, the roads are not wide enough. 9 is not wide enough to accommodate the chicken trucks and things that comes up through there, much less all this other traffic that's going on there. And if you look, there's 3 subdivisions. This would be the 3rd subdivisions within 2 miles. That is not, there's 2 that's not completely full yet. I mean, they keep on saying that we have a need here in the county, and I agree. We have had a lot of people move here in this county. I've lived here all my life. I've owned this spot for 40-something years. I'm right across the road from the kudzu patch. Now, I would be the first one who would agree. I would love to see the kudzu patch gone myself because I hate kudzu, because I keep fighting it. Joy and I both, we keep watching it as it comes across the road. We kill it and everything. My main concern is with the traffic here in this county, because 53 is a mess and 9 is right behind it. So that's my biggest complaint. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Come on up, sir. Give us your name and your address and please sign in. You'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Joey Bearden. My wife and I live across the road of 9 from probably the lower entrance to this proposed subdivision. I feel like it is me and my wife and neighborhood.
Need you to
Just
stand a little closer, Joey.
we just don't feel like this project fits in with our area. It's already been noted that houses on both sides of the road, up and down the road, are built on acres of land, at least an acre of land. And to rezone this to allow 141 effectively in about a 40-acre area is just detrimental to our highways, like it's already been said, water and sewage, schools. It's been considered that, we'd have to add on. Something that hadn't been mentioned is, would the houses be, we don't know what kind of houses, they hadn't told us what kind of houses, but would they be wide enough for a fire truck to get by? Could one, if they're packed in there like that, could an accidental fire burn down the whole neighborhood? We don't know. Also, the sheriff, I lived here since all my life, but in the same house since 1981. And well, when I grew up here, there was one sheriff, one deputy, and we were living in Mayberry. I know we're not going back to Mayberry, but the sheriff may have to get another deputy to go in there to referee the fights, because families can't live that close together without fighting and fussing, much less total strangers. So that's all.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Come on up. Give us your name and your address, and please sign in. You'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Beth Martin. I live at 586 Brights Way. From what I've heard, it sounds like it's speculative zoning. They're trying to sell it with this new zoning. And I didn't know we were supposed to do that as a county. I thought we frowned upon it. And also, it just seems like the R3 was supposed to be out toward 400, not this far into town. It's where they were having the larger lots and the acreages. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone else here to speak in opposition to the application? Seeing none, I'll close that hearing. It's a pleasure of the board.
I guess we can't comment first. We gotta wait.
Yeah, you can ask questions if you have some, or,
No, That's fine.
okay.
And I mean, this is more of a comment, I guess. I think there's one of the challenges that we have as commissioners is balancing private property rights with that of the existing community that lives here. We developed some R2 and R3 zonings a while back to fill a gap and a void where we went from 1 unit to 5 units an acre. To me, this is not the right zoning for that piece of property. I think that we should focus, as I've said before, feather off of 400. 400 is where our infrastructure is at, and we should continue to see some of those zonings and the higher densities are going to be at 400. It's inevitable at some point that land gets developed. I mean, that's part of our society. It's part of our free choices that we have as property owners. But it's also a responsibility to do it in a manner that is conducive to the service delivery that the county has. And I personally don't see that this particular plan meets the existing service delivery options that the county has.
Other comments or motions?
I would just like to say, I hear you people. And when you moved to this county, you had a certain expectation that you were gonna see the sunset or sunrise. I don't see many sunrises, I see sunsets. And I understand that, and I think we've got to take things like that in consideration. And for people to move here and then all of a sudden, what they've lived there for years, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's changed, and you've got so many people, you can't stir them with a stick, and the roads can't even hold it. But here we go again with people who have property, and they do have the right to sell it, and it's a two-headed snake. It's really difficult. It's really difficult. But we have been engaged in conversations. Now, I don't know if y'all ready. Are you gonna make a comment? Are you gonna make a comment about it? Either one of
I'll
y'all?
wait after.
Since we've discussed this, I will make a motion that it is tabled and give them a chance to, update it, maybe come about it a different way, maybe lower the density, something to that effect. And I don't know how long to table it. Is there a particular,
You can decide that yourself.
I can decide it myself.
wanna
Well,
make it-
okay, let's,
Ms. Angie?
Well, Commissioner Fawcett, you could set a specific date, but if you're asking them to go back and work on a site plan, then I think I might just table it indefinitely until
Oh,
such
okay.
time as they wish to bring it back.
Okay.
To give them some flexibility on when
Okay.
they might come back to us.
Okay. Well, that would be my motion then, to table this indefinitely and see if they can come up with something else.
So I have a motion to table indefinitely. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Dooley. Motion was made by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion.
Chairman, we have a future land use plan. We have a map, and we've had input, public hearings on it, and sent out surveys and got feedback from the public on that. And I'm like, when Ms. Sharon said, you got your property rights. You do have a right to sell your property, but we also have to, we have a plan that we go by, and we try to go by, and I look a lot at that plan and try to make my decisions. So I think table it, then give them an opportunity to come back and see if they can get it closer to our plan. What we've had the input from the citizens on.
And I echo the same sentiments as the rest of the commissioners. We have the land use plan, and if we start varying from it, it opens the door for us to vary a lot more. And you can't just pick and choose where you vary. I do agree with the person's right to do what they want on their property, and I think that we can hopefully work with a developer and come up with a solution, but the density in this area is a lot for me.
One thing I would say is it's RSR in our future land use plan, which means that they can do 1 per acre with water or sewer, and then I think it has both. So they could do 65 homes right now with the RSR designation. So we have a land use plan for a reason. We have vetted that land use plan through our citizens. And so I think that's important that we follow that. All right, so we have a motion and a second to table indefinitely. Any further discussion?
My final comment would be, I would be okay going along with a table in it, but we got a long way to go. I mean, this is not just simply cutting 2 houses out of the plan. We're a great divide right here, and we've got to see for me at least, I got to see some major adjustments, because a lot of the points that were made tonight are valid points.
I would like to see more something on the lines, if it's a conservation subdivision within very close to the 1 home per acre that it's already, that the future land use map says, and that it's already zoned for. If you want to cluster the homes and conserve the property, I'm for that, but adding a lot more density than what's already allowed, it's going to be difficult.
And please know that Thunder Ridge and Sweetwater Preserve is a city development. We had nothing to do with that. So understand that. We have a, no, that's all I'll say.
All right, so we have a motion and second for tabling indefinitely. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. And that's tabled indefinitely 4-0. All right, next up, ZA 20-26, Jim King on behalf of Jackie and Jerry Townley request to rezone tax map parcel 115-044 from RA Residential Agriculture to RSR Residential Sub-Rural for the purpose of subdividing the parcel. This is on Blue Ridge Overlook. James.
Thank you, Chairman. So Jim King, on behalf of Jerry and Jackie Townley, is requesting to rezone rezone 2.71 acres off of Blue Ridge Overlook for the purpose of subdividing the parcel off. They will not be adding any additional structures to the property. It is for the purpose of gifting to a relative. But it's important to know that the property is over 28 acres, and they're trying to just break off that 2.7 in order, I believe the house is included in that, into two different parcels. It is conformance with the future land use and the comprehensive plan for this area. So if anything, it brings this property into compliance with our long-term plan. I will entertain any questions.
Questions for Jameson? Thank you, sir. Mr. King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jim King, 131 Prominence Court, Dawsonville, Georgia. I'm here tonight representing the applicant, the Townley family. This is probably the least complicated zoning you'll ever hear from me.
Don't count on it.
Mr. Townley would simply just like to cut off a piece of his property and give it to his son Trent and his family, his grandchildren, so that they can raise their family right next door and enjoy living in Dawsonville. So if you have any other questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Questions of the applicant?
And this existing house has been there since
64.
60 something.
Yes, sir.
64. So the
That's
house is
correct.
there. They're not building new house.
Right. Yep.
Other questions?
Jameson, you said it went along with the comprehensive plan.
Yes. Any other questions? Thank you, Jim. We may have some more later. At this time, I'll open this hearing. Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Seeing none, I'll close that hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Fawcett.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Next up, ZA 20-27, Dawson County request to rezone tax map parcel 113-011 and 113-092 from CHB Commercial Highway Business to RMF Residential Multifamily and CHB for the purpose of developing a commercial component and multifamily dwelling. James.
Chairman. So this piece of property is located on the corner of Lumpkin Campground North and Highway 53 East. And what we're proposing is to rezone it from commercial highway business to commercial highway business and residential multifamily. So this property was originally rezoned from residential agricultural to commercial highway business in 2007. It was rezoned with a lot of different other properties in the area. As you know, it's right next to the movie theater and a lot of other properties. This request originally came through in 2019 for rezoning to CHB and RMF. The recommendation was recommended approval by the planning commission, but it was later denied by the board of commissioners. The original application had 140 units spanning over 23 acres, and the commercial highway business portion was 1.7 acres. On the new site plan, as you can see right here, the residential multifamily portion is 120 units spanning over 20 acres, and the commercial highway business portion is a little over 5 acres. And as you can also see in the site plan, it includes interparcel connectivity as other things that calls out in our comprehensive plan that is appropriate for this area. It does match our future land use. It is in compliance with our future land use map. And the planning commission recommended approval with an additional stipulation of having a study done for pedestrian traffic. But as you know, that when it comes to pedestrian traffic, we take a pretty close look at that at our civil plan review, as far as sidewalks and pedestrian crossings across the street. So we already take a pretty in-depth look at the pedestrian, but that was one of the concerns of the planning commission, and they extended that in one of their recommendations that you have before you. So the discussed stipulations, let's see here. I'm just going to go ahead and read those out. Is stipulation 1, the development shall be constructed simultaneously in compliance with the site plan as Exhibit A, which is to the right there. Number 2, the owner shall construct a left turn lane from the end of the existing turn lane at SR 53 along the property frontage to the northernmost property line of this development prior to the issuance of the first certificate of occupancy for the residential development. Number 3, the road connecting Lumpkin Campground Road to Prestige Lane shall be constructed, completed, and open for passage prior to the issuance of the first certificate of occupancy for the residential development and shall be built to county standards. This road shall be dedicated to the county no sooner than the completion of the vertical construction for the commercial development. Number 4, the development as a pad-ready site of the 5.36 plus or minus acre commercial development, also known as the commercial development shown on the site plan, shall be commenced and proceed simultaneously and continuously with the commencement of the development of the 20 plus or minus acre residential development shown on the site plan, and must be completed as a pad ready site at or before issuance of the 60th certificate of occupancy for the residential development. For the purposes of this stipulation, pad ready shall mean completion of the grading to a flat and immediate availability of the water and sewer connections. Number 5, upon the issuance of the 60th certificate of occupancy for the residential development, actual vertical construction must commence on the commercial development before any additional certificate of occupancy will be issued for the residential development. And number 6, the final one, the owner shall dedicate an additional 20 feet of right of way along the entire frontage of Lumpkin Campground Road and SR 53 prior to the issuance of the first certificate of occupancy. As you can see, these stipulations not only address the traffic issues, the potential traffic issues that might be along Lumpkin Campground, but also the additional right of way that we need for the future development of that Lumpkin Campground corridor, as well as the interparcel connectivity that is desperately needed in this area throughout this development, as well as the surrounded developments in this area. I will entertain any questions at this time.
Questions for Jameson?
Good.
Thank you. As the county is the applicant, Ms. Davis, you have anything to add?
No, Mr. Chairman, I do not. I think the board is somewhat familiar with this application and the conditions that we've worked very hard on.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I'll open this hearing. Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Anyone here to speak in opposition to the application? Last chance. All right. Seeing none, I'll close that hearing. Pleasure of the board.
make a motion that we approve TMP 113-011 and 113.
2027.
It's 2020.
Oh, Lord, sorry.
2027.
I haven't eaten today.
Uh-oh.
Make a motion that we approve ZA 20-27. I was reading the TMPs.
With the stipulations as quoted,
Yes, please.
with the stipulations as quoted. All right, so we have a motion to approve the application with the stipulations as quoted by the planning director, by Commissioner Gaines. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion.
In reference to the, and I think Jameson hit it, the extra stipulation that the planning board recommended, that's gonna be addressed in plan review to ADA compliance, curb cuts with the sidewalks. So all that stuff's addressed anyway.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Next up, we'll move on to unfinished business. First is consideration of study concerning cost of services by land use type, residential, commercial, agriculture, and efficiencies, tabled from February 4th, 2021 voting session. Mr. Gaines, you brought that up.
I guess it's back to me.
Are you able to get some candy first?
No, so we've been in talks with Carl Vinson Institute and trying to, they're working on the moving parts of the study for us. As everybody's aware, we had two studies that we were looking at. One was an efficiency study and the other one was a cost for delivery per zoning category study. And we have looked at combining those two just from a sense of efficiency. And so still engaged with them. I feel pretty comfortable that our original estimate was going to be around 15,000. And I think by combining the two, we're going to be right there at that. So what I'd like to see us do is go ahead and set a high limit of 15,000 and move forward while we're still waiting so we don't delay the process. I think the data that's going to be given from the study is going to be instrumental in some of the zoning decisions that we have to make in the future, and as well as efficiencies of our operations internally. And so I'd like to see us go ahead and move forward potentially with a high limit of 15,000. And then simultaneously, I would like to see us go ahead and while we're waiting on this data, I think it's so critical that we have this when we're dealing with mainly residential rezonings, that we put a moratorium for 90 days on RS2, RS3, RMF, CPCD, and MUV until we can have the time to get back this important information
Effective.
tonight.
Is that in the form of a motion?
And if I could just ask one clarification on that motion before it gets a second, is that a moratorium on the acceptance of applications for any of
Correct,
those?
yeah, so it would be moratorium, yeah, I didn't know, I was just starting conversation, but yeah, so an official motion, I would phrase it as this: I motion to approve up to the original estimate of 15,000 for a dual purpose study of efficiencies and service delivery cost per zoning category. Furthermore, I motion that we instigate a 90-day moratorium for accepting applications on the following zonings: RS2, RS3, RMF, CPCD, and MUV, effective immediately.
Motion from Commissioner Gaines. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion.
And it's not gonna affect anything we've got in the system now, any applications,
Nope.
any, for example, tabling, since we heard it.
That's correct. As long as they were in our hopper, so to speak, whether they're in plan review now or coming up towards the planning commission, or anything that was heard tonight that was tabled would continue to be processed.
And if it's already zoned for that,
Right. It's not going to stop development, just the acceptance of a new rezoning
zoning.
application, as I understand Commissioner Gaines'
Within that
motion.
limited scope of those particular
Mhm.
zoning classifications.
That property's already zoned for that. They can go ahead.
Correct.
Yeah.
don't have to come to us.
No.
Correct.
But that's the way it is now. So,
Right.
yeah.
Correct.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. And that study is approved 4-0 as well as the moratorium on the list that Commissioner Gaines read. Next, we'll move on to new business. First up, we have consideration request for additional sheriff's office staffing. And I would make a recommendation to the board that we table this request pending some of this study as well as the plan that the sheriff said he would like to work on. So I'd like to have some opportunity to sit with the sheriff and his representatives and talk about what his plan is so that we as a complete group will have a good idea. So I'm going to recommend to the board that we table this at this time. And I'll make that in form of a motion. I recommend that we table this request at this time. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Fawcett. Discussion.
Just another point of potential large impact on budget would be the determination and the outcome of how Splosh is determined. So
I mean, I agree with Commissioner Gaines. I mean, that's gonna be, if that doesn't, if Splosh doesn't pass, I mean, we might be looking at, God forbid, furloughs or cutting back or cutting the services, which I hope doesn't happen. So, we need to look at it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Have a motion and a second. Hearing none, please vote. And that's table 4-0. Next up, we have consideration of local emergency operation plan update. Chief Thompson brought that to you a couple of weeks ago. That's something that has to be done every 5 years. And as you saw, it's about 400 pages and it was good for your nighttime reading. Put you right off to sleep, but his department, and they've done an outstanding job of updating that. And as he said before, most of the update was associated with people and phone numbers and stuff, because in 5 years, a lot of things change. Now, he didn't wait till the 5th year to make his changes. He kind of does that every year, but he doesn't have to have it updated and approved, but every 5 years. So he's on the ball there and taking care of that. So is there any other information needed in reference to that?
Well, now let me ask you, you said you updating people. Now, the one I had some people, like Steve Landry, that's been gone for years. The vet on page 336, and Charlie Alverman's listed, Reggie Forrester.
More updates.
So I and I didn't look at all of them. I didn't look, but did I have an old copy of something like Gary Barr's in
You
there?
may
And
have.
he's retired, and
Gary Barr
Julie Hughes
retired
Nix is
back
in
in
there.
December, after
Okay.
it was already submitted to GMA. So
Oh,
like many
okay.
documents, by the time you get it pushed, and some of those, it may have been an oversight. As you saw, there's a lot of
Oh,
names. And we
Yes.
physically have to call each one, verify they're still in there. And Gary retired from the city back in December, as you're
so
aware.
that's why Julie's still
So-
listed, because she
And-
left in
And
December.
literally, by the time we make the changes again, somebody else will be gone. Because I
Yeah.
think even in the chamber, Christie's left
Yeah.
since then.
Mhm.
We've got that change. It's constantly a living, breathing document.
Mhm. But Landry's been gone for years.
Yep. And that may have been an oversight on
Yeah.
us.
And they can fix
But
that.
I didn't look all of them. That's why Lisa was still listed.
Uh-huh.
Lisa Thurman and Nancy Stites, but
I'd be
no, I
wor-
didn't look at all of them.
I'd be worried if your name gets in there because you're gonna be gone, apparently.
Yeah, that-
I didn't say that, he did.
She's in there.
Yeah, I'm in there.
She's
but,
in there.
I do too. I do too. That makes me nervous. But anyway, I was just curious, and like I said, I could not look at all that. But I understand now, because you said if they left in December, you'd already got this printed up.
Oh, yeah.
Just curious.
So entertain a motion, and then you could add into that motion that he make those updates.
Well, but how much trouble, I mean, how much trouble is that to do?
They can do it.
You gotta do it
anyway.
anyway.
They gotta do it anyway.
And you've got plenty of that with COVID
He's
going
got
on.
to do that anyway.
Yeah. Well, and as much in reason as you can.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
as I said, he updates it on a regular basis anyway.
Okay.
He doesn't wait till the 5th year. But it is easy to overlook because I've done it.
Yes,
It's,
I'm sure.
When you got as many names as they are in that book, and it is a book, it's easy to overlook somebody or try to figure out if they're still in that position.
Yes. Well, I mean, there's a lot of people I didn't even know. These
Yeah.
were just some of the ones that I knew, but.
'Cause it can,
Mhm.
right, so what's the pleasure board on that?
Chairman, I make a motion to approve as presented, knowing that this is a living document and constant changes on it and updates happen within the 5 years and
Okay, got a motion to approve by Commissioner Satterfield,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Dooley. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Next up, we have consideration to amend section 2-111 solicitations, 13.b, 25,000 and above sealed solicitations of purchasing policy ordinance. Melissa brought that to you a couple of weeks ago, and that was the elimination of, I believe it was one sentence that she had asked to amend. Any other information needed? Motions.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Fawcett.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that amendment is approved 4-0. Next up, we have ratification of the Liberty Church Road Emergency Repair Request. Mr. McKee.
On the agenda when I walked in. I am on top of things. This is an emergency repair from a hurricane that occurred and some flooding that occurred back in October. The work has been completed and the grass has been cut a couple times. So we're just asking for ratification, approving this. It was approved through our emergency procedures at that time.
Questions for Mr. McKee? Motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to ratify.
ratify.
That is correct.
Okay.
Eat this candy.
Second.
Oh, you bet.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines, seconded by Commissioner Satterfield. Discussion. Let's do my job. Hearing none, please vote. And that is ratified 4-0. No one signed up for public comment
No, sir.
in this section. We do have need for executive session, so I'll take a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
I make a motion that we go into executive session officially at 6:15 PM.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Gaines,
He didn't even hear me.
seconded by
Did he?
Ms.
I'm
Commissioner
telling you, he's
Fawcett.
thinking fast.
And Commissioner Gaines, if you could just mention the purposes, which would be pending or potential
I
litigation
will add for the
Or
purpose
threatened.
of pending or potential
or
litigation.
threatened litigation.
Or threatened.
We have a motion and a second for executive session for pending
Potential and threatened litigation.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
litigation, basically. Any discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Is there any votes going to come out of this potential?
I don't anticipate, but possibly. So I can't completely rule it out,
Okay. so
depending
there's
on the board's
potential.
direction.
Attorney's answer, it depends.
There could
I'm
be.
looking at Mr.
A
McKee,
vote.
but
All right,
yes,
so-
potentially.
Right, so we'll take about 5-minute recess and then we'll go into executive session. With the potential of a vote, you are welcome to stay if you wish, desire.